am not going to. I am not going. I am going upstairs to go 3 to answer the charge that I was summoned for. That is why I'm here this morning. And for you to tell me now that you're going to arrest me for a charge that I'm already before the court on, doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to wait here until my lawyer gets here. I think he advised me. Don't let me. I am not going in court office. I'm going to the court. So if you don't start the charge, I am going to court 3 to answer the charge so we can hear the moment.
So they're attempting to physically put Mr. Slowe into the lockups.
I have to have a drive because it's legal, that's lawful, and if he says it is legal and lawful, then I will. So please wait until the lawyer gets here. It's going to be a shock. No, I don't wait till the inquiry office because only let me advise you that if I should go to the inquiry office, then you are properly arrested. So I'm cautioning you that you can take me to the inquiry office. I'm not going to want you to release me from here. But I'm saying it to accept it. That's not here to wait until the lawyer gets here. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. Again, for someone to come forward with that is why I'm already charged for this. And that is what I'm saying for you to say now that you're arresting me in respect to the same charge that I've already been placed before the court for doesn't make any sense. And I need to be advised by the lawyers what should be the next course of action until the lawyer gets here.
So there you have it. Slowe turned up this morning to attend court on a matter that he has been summoned for. And just as he turned up to attend court, 1, 2, 3, 4 officers are attempting to arrest him. Mr. Slowe is insisting that he will not go to the inquiry's office until he's properly advised by his lawyer. So the police officers on the ground are trying to physically put Mr. Slowe in the inquiry's office. He's insisting that if he goes there, he's properly arrested. Mind you, this matter is already before the court, and Mr. Slowe is scheduled to appear this morning to answer to the allegation. So this is what is happening here at the Georgetown Magistrates Court. I understand his attorney at law is Selvin Peters, who is in Guyana, who will be here shortly, who is on his way, I'm told. Okay. Yes, we're coming up, so we just want.
This is so much interpretation. Well, it was not as strange as I indicated earlier. I received a summons finally last Friday to appear before the Georgetown Magistrate Court 3 this morning, as time wasn't stated. But based on the information I got from my lawyer, on the last occasion the matter was called, the matter was put off for 11 o'clock today in court. So I came with an intention to appear before the court, as I had indicated earlier. Even though I'm charged, there was never questioned, there was never arrested or anything like that. So the matter is before. So I came here now with the expectation that perhaps I'll have to plead to the charge. And there it is, these police officers are telling me that they are going to arrest me for a matter in which I'm already charged and before the court. So that makes no sense to me as a former police officer and as a layman. My lawyer, Mr. Hughes and Mr. Peters, are going to be here shortly. I'm refusing to go into the police inquiry office. I'm not leaving. I'm going to remain right here. And here comes Mr. Peters. He's going to advise on the court. But that is what it is.
We have the attorney at law for Mr. Slowe has now arrived, and they're attempting to arrest Mr. Slowe there as we speak. So Mr. Peters will now have his intervention.
The same charge for the this gentleman identified himself as Officer Amman, saying to me that he's going to arrest me and caution me of the charge. Instead of this, they've already charged the court and prepared to hold this demonstration. I am refusing to be taken and answer any questions I told them the laws are right and I can follow the advice.
Excuse me, you made that you made the arrest. Take your hands off of him. You've already made the arrest. You trust him to make the arrest. Well, as far as hang on to this procedure, you trust him to make the arrest. You release him. Well, take your hands off of him while you explain to me the basis of why you have arrested him. Oh, sorry, you don't have to stay what? Okay.
Look, I don't have to get one, but you don't think I should assault the dead to yes. It is not. I'm not, but it's unlawful because I'm already 41. You cannot be arresting me. You cannot be arresting me.
Correct. Cool.
Well, you see, on everything you're attempting to arrest me, you haven't even identified yourself. That is not an obligation. Don't ask me that. Don't ask me that.
You're asking the question.
Don't ask me that. I am saying to you, what you're attempting to do now, that is what you should have done before. You should have presented your insurance. That is the correct procedure. But the time you say you are, you should have shown me identification of all the police identification to perform the document. Don't just this Romano, let me make this thing civil. I understand the challenge. I think it's really bad. What would happen? This matter, I think, this takes another 3 minutes. Those concerned are raised before the conference. I could assure you, wherever the patients have been given in. So, the specific conclusion last week. So, we will address those issues. I think at this stage is a particular before that we see. We will see a part
That's attorney at law. That's attorney at law, Patrice Henry. So the matter will now head towards the magistrate. So that's the situation here at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, where retired Assistant Police Commissioner Pual Slowe came into the country to answer to his charges, and as he was heading to the court, they attempted to physically arrest him, I understand, for the same charge, and take him down to Suku headquarters. So,
Hi, sorry about that. Good morning. As you just saw there, compliments of Travis Chase Facebook page. The former Assistant Commissioner of Police, a man who should have been the Commissioner of Police, is under arrest by the police. The police obviously taking political orders from the installed regime. And I repeat, taking political orders. And now you heard there, this is Pual Slowe, Mr. Pual Slowe, as he's being arrested by members of the Guyana Police Force. And the question is, why is he being arrested? Is he being arrested for a new crime? The answer is no. then the question is, why exactly is he being arrested? He's being arrested for the very allegation leveled against him, and that he has to appear in front of a magistrate at 11 a.m. today, 11 o'clock today. As he's about to appear in court, right there at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, he's surrounded by some PPP lawyers, policemen, obviously taking their orders from those corrupt individuals of the installed regime to arrest Mr. Pual Slowe. Now, I want you guys to read between the lines what's happening here, right? And let's break it down. That's the lead police officer who grabbed, and his name is Ramaya or something like that, who grabbed Mr. Pual Slowe. Now, ask this question. Many a times the PPP folks, when they were being detained, they were never treated in this manner. And I'm quite certain that this policeman would not have grabbed people like Anil Nandalal, 19 fraud charges guy, who is today sitting there as the head of state, or even Jack Deo or anyone. Again, I want to make this point clear. This guy, who has identified himself not properly as a police officer. He just said that he's a police officer arresting Mr. Pual Slowe. Now, Mr. Pual Slowe is known around Guyana, the Caribbean, and other parts of the world. He served the Guyana police force for nearly 40 years, left as assistant commissioner of police. Should have been the commissioner of police. He was denied promotion and all these things under the PPP. This is how they are treating this former senior police officer. We have never seen them treated, that guy with 19 fraud charges in this manner. 19 fraud charges. The other guy who was accused of stealing law books, who admitted that he took the law books, he was never treated like this. I have seen drug lords. Yes, and you know Guyana has a lot of them there. Drug lords pomposetting themselves as legitimate businessmen. I have seen fuel smugglers and gold smugglers pomposetting themselves as legitimate businessmen appeared in court, and not once were they ever treated like this. Not once. Now, let us take, for example, do you believe that this same policeman, the guy who claims that he's a policeman, do you think he would put his hands on a drug lord like this? Do you think he would put his hands on Irfan Ali like this? Do you think he would put his hands on Anil Nandalal like this? Or one of those fuel smugglers or gold smugglers like this? Do you think he would put his hands on the owner of Sleep-In Motel like this? The answer is indeed, Shawnette Alicia, no way. But yet, this guy is so brave to grab Mr. Pual Slowe in this manner. Grab Mr. Pual Slowe, disrespect Mr. Pual Slowe, when in fact this gentleman, Mr. Pual Slowe, is on his way to court for an 11 o'clock appointment in front of a magistrate to answer to the same charges that they are now arresting him for. Here is where the corruption is. They know that there is no evidence. They know that there is nothing at all, no evidence against Mr. Pual Slowe. And the wicked folks in the Guyana police force, I repeat, the wicked ones in collaboration with those wicked people in the installed regime, decided to cook this thing up, that they are going to arrest him as he makes his way up to the court steps in order to delay Mr. Pual Slowe from going in front of the magistrate, because they know that they have had months to deal with this matter. They know that if they go in front of the magistrate, they will be embarrassed. And wait until you hear what comes out of the magistrate's court this morning, that the file has not been completed, that they are not ready for the case as yet. Yet they charge this man. Yet they charge Mr. Pual Slowe. Yet they're treating Mr. Pual Slowe as though he's a criminal. Look at what they did. Grabbed him by his pants. That is Mr. Pual Slowe right there. Grabbed him by his pants, disrespecting him for what? All because he didn't do what those corrupt individuals in the installed regime wanted him to do. As chairman of the Police Service Commission, they wanted Mr. Pual Slowe to promote individuals who have a bunch of question marks over their heads, a bunch of question marks. Some corrupt policemen, the PPP, Jack Dale and Irfan Ali and those folks want Mr. Pual Slowe to promote. Mr. Pual Slowe said right here on this show that he received a call from Irfan Ali in the capacity as sitting where he's sitting at office of the president, basically trying to dictate to Mr. Pual Slowe who should be promoted and who shouldn't be promoted. In any other part of the world, Irfan Ali would have been under investigations or should have been under investigations. Irfan Ali should have been the one being arrested, and others in the coalition, in the, the installed PPP regime. If you're now watching and you're now joining us for the first time this morning, let me just say that Mr. Pual Slowe is under arrest. This is high-class disrespect. If you're within the Georgetown area, if you are, I noticed some language being used here. Let me just let you guys know that this is not the forum for that. We are not going to tolerate that sort of language. This is not the page. This is not the forum for that. We understand some of you guys are upset. Maybe rightly so, but please, this is not the forum for FU and FU this and FU, it's just not. Sorry about that, but it's not the forum for that. So I noticed our operator was trying to make contact with someone on the ground there to give you guys more information, because we're not going to go anywhere until we get more information. But as I was saying, that if you're in Georgetown right now, if you are around the Stabroek Market area or close to the Georgetown Magistrates Court, head down there right now. That's all I'm saying. Peacefully head down there right now to show your support for Mr. Pual Slowe. Those of you who are listening, you have family members there. If you have family members there, like GT Rutgal and stuff, you have family members there, send them there. Let them go in Georgetown. Let them go to the Georgetown Magistrates Court to show their support in solidarity with Mr. Pual Slowe. And I believe another senior police officer was actually charged as well. And this has got to stop. It has got to stop. One way or the other, it's got to stop. Right? And if we sit down and continue to allow these things to happen and allow to and treat some of them in the installed regime and all nicey and smiley with them, now is not the time for nicey and smiley and talking with these individuals, because they don't believe in that. They take the nicey things, they take the smile things, they take the handshakes and all of these things, and they run with it for propaganda purpose. That's what they do. That's exactly what they do. And whilst you smile and talk up nicely with them, this is what they do. This is exactly what they do. I noticed there's a Justin Haley say, Mark, stop telling people to go out. We will help the ordinary man, not the AP and UAFC, whatever. Look, Justin Haley, regardless of what. If the APNU AFC folks don't want to help them, I'm talking about the MPs and all these people, it doesn't mean that the ordinary citizens can't take the lead. I get your point, Justin. Don't get me wrong, bro. I get your point. I know exactly how you feel, but we cannot just take this position and say to hell with the APNU AFC people. We cannot say that, because if we say that, more the PPP folks, the installed regime folks are going to come and go after leaders of the coalition or senior individuals, people like Mr. Pual Slowe and so forth. So we've got to take a different position on this. We got to stop smiling up to these guys. We got to stop hogging up to them and talking to them softly. That's okay. Hey, Justin Haley, that's okay. That's okay, bro. I know you're upset. A lot of people are upset. I know you are. But the time has come, I do believe, that the talking, too much niceties, too much, waiting for the coalition, waiting for the PPP folks in the catfish regime to do good, to treat AP and UFC supporters or to treat professionals like Mr. Pual Slowe with any sort of dignity and respect. To beg the PPP folks to do that, it is not going to happen. There's only one language the PPP understands. One language the PPP understand. And they do understand serious boots on the ground, not just talking boots on the ground and we in backing down and them nonsense that. All of those people who talk about boots on the ground and them in backing down, they should have been out there. Right now, they should have dropped what they're doing. But are they going to do that? I don't think they're going to do that. We got to stop with this foolish Facebook talking, hit the ground. If I had my way, all of the members of parliament should have been out there right now. But a lot of them have their other jobs that they have to do because they work full-time other places, right? They work full-time other places. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about those who don't do nothing, but other than talk about boots on the ground, right? I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to say that this is what is happening right now. Mr. Pual Slowe arrested. He was arrested this morning, moments ago. We are awaiting word from his lawyers in the courtroom to find out exactly what happened, what is the outcome. But I can almost tell you guys what the outcome is going to be. It is going to be this, that they are not ready, that the magistrate, the prosecutor is going to say they just got the file. They're not ready yet to start the file. They still need to get some other stuff done. And that is the reason why they went out to arrest Mr. Pual Slowe. And one of the reasons also, another reason that they went out there to arrest Mr. Pual Slowe is basically to embarrass him or attempt to embarrass Mr. Pual Slowe. Attempt to embarrass Mr. Pual Slowe. They knew that the media was going to be out there as well. And so if they go like this one, like this little thing, to go to grab Mr. Pual Slowe, to arrest him in the eyes of the media, is basically to reduce Mr. Pual Slowe, disrespect Mr. Pual Slowe, and so forth. Because they could have gone, Mr. Pual Slowe was in the country, they knew Mr. Pual Slowe wasn't in hiding, they know where he lives, and so forth. They could have quietly gone to his home, or a senior officer in the force would have called and said, Mr. Pual Slowe, we'd like to send the 2 officers over to question you in order to clear the air on some matters. Simple as that. Either he drives into CID headquarters with his lawyers and get it done the right way. But this is what they believe in, the disrespect of certain individuals, especially people looking like Pual Slowe, to embarrass them, to disrespect them, to grab his hand, to grab his butt, his pants belt, as though he's some sort of criminal. Here's a man who served the Guyana police force for nearly 40 years, who refused to do wrong things. Even he was threatened and called when he was commander of B Division, that is Berbice there, to return the firearms, the firearms to a known PPP culprit. The then sitting president called him and instructed him, invited him to his office and instructed him. The then Minister of Home Affairs, the late Ronald Gadraj, did the same to him. Mr. Pual Slowe stood his grounds. And this is what the PPP, that is what they're about. They want senior police officers to do their dirty biddings, their dirty work. And because Pual Slowe has refused to do it, he is basically an enemy of the PPP. They refuse to promote this man. This man, Mr. Pual Slowe, should have been the Commissioner of Police. They refused to promote him. Mr. Slowe went on to become the chairman of the Police Service Commission. He did an excellent job. There was transparency throughout his tenure there, but they didn't like it. They wanted some of their corrupt individuals to be promoted. And most of those that they want to be promoted had matters in the High Court and all these different things. They failed polygraph tests, all these things, but yet they want Pual Slowe to promote those guys. And because Pual Slowe refused to promote him, their people, their guys, they decided to fabricate charges against Mr. Slowe. And the charge that they have leveled against Mr. Slowe and others is that whilst he was Police Service Commission chairman or something to that effect, that they had some $10 million for work through the police force, 10 million Guyana dollars. Now, that $10 million that they were talking about, it came directly from the Guyana police force to do legitimate work. Mind you, the person who made that available was the former police commissioner, Mr. Leslie James. Mr. Leslie James is nowhere in this picture. He's the man that signed off on everything. But I'm not saying Mr. James should have been charged also. But Mr. James is the one who contracted these guys as respectable former senior police officers. They're making it look like this man and his colleagues stole something. There is no evidence and this matter will be thrown out. But what the PPP wants is just to embarrass Mr. Pual Slowe and others, Mr. Conway and others. That is exactly what this is about. You know, we got to feel it for Guyana. Where is Guyana going? Where is Guyana going? Every day people are crying out for justice. Every single day. Let's move away from Mr. Pual Slowe for a quick minute, if you allow me to. Look at how they're treating this firefighter, this female firefighter, it was her day off. Her day off. She's there in her short dress, whether it's short, whether it's long or whatever. That's her right there. People are like, oh, who is she in a short dress? Well, you know, she's a firefighter. She's trained to do what she was doing. Okay, she doesn't have on her uniform. But what would you like, members of the public, to see your building burning and a trained firefighter standing there and not do anything? Then if she did not do anything, someone would have taken her picture to say, look at the firefighter. She's standing up there and she ain't even help. She ain't even do nothing. But because she did something and she is a hero, she ought to be given some sort of promotion or something. If I were sitting there in the office of the president in that seat, mind you, right? Some people are lucky enough to get a chance through some miracle to sit in that seat, right? As what is happening now, as we see that individual, 19 fraud charges, and he's sitting there, right? She would have been at the office of the president receiving some sort of award. She should have received a promotion. The mayor of the city should have already given her the key to the city. How are you going to reprimand somebody like this who wants to help save lives and save buildings? How can you do that What sort of a country are we do we have there right now? What sort of a country has Guyana become? That you're going to reprimand and try to discipline this young lady? Cops around the world, if they're on the trade, if they're a crime is being committed, if they can assist their fellow officers, oftentimes they do. They identify, hey, police officer, I'm off duty, but they're there as police officers to help. She's a firefighter, no different. The building was burning, she helped her colleagues, and she's been reprimanded for that. Shame on those who reprimanded this young lady. She should be given an award. She should be given a promotion, amongst other stuff. But it's Guyana we're living in, with a bunch of Pagli people masquerading as government officials. Pagli people, I say. Now back to Mr. Pual Slowe. You guys heard. You guys may be watching. If he's out of court, I'm not sure as yet. But you can tell me if you got any news that Mr. Pual Slowe is out of court. This is embarrassing. An embarrassing situation for Guyana. Now is not time to hug up and kiss up them. Ecclesiastes 3, you guys know, chapter 3, Ecclesiastes talk about there's a time and place, there's a season for everything. Now is not the time for hugging up. Now is not the time for kissing up. Now is not the time for handshakes. Now is not the time for that. Maybe if things start to turn around and change for the better of all Guyana, all Guyanese, then we could get to the part of hugging up, kissing up, and handshakes. But now is certainly not the time for that with these guys at all. Sorry about that. I was just looking at some of your comment. And then last evening we heard from this guy, former finance minister, and what is happening and the threats coming from Anil Nandalal that Mr. Winston Jordan was involved in nefarious activities. Now that's a sign. Look out. What next is going to happen is they will send police officers to arrest this former minister. If it's not done today, I'll be surprised if they don't do it today. Trust me, I'll be surprised if it's not done today. Or by sometime this weekend, it is going to be done, because that is how stupid, that is how crazy these folks are in the installed regime. Crazy indeed, right? Because we sit back and we don't do much, and we just talk and talk and talk and talk and talking about those who are supposed to be standing up and representing your interest. That is what they do, talk most of the time. And they believe that talking on Facebook is sufficient, and talking on the ground is not time for that, and all sort of excuses you hear, and the strategy is wrong. Meanwhile, the PPP chipping away. That is precisely what is happening. Too much talking, too much Facebook talking. It is not going to make things change in Guyana. The PPP understands one language. One language the PPP understands. And when you speak that language to them, they buckle. They buckle under pressure. All of them, Jack Deere, Irfan, Anil, all of them, they buckle under pressure. So let's go back. If you're now joining us, Pual Slowe, arrested moments ago. Mr. Pual Slowe was arrested moments ago. Moments ago, arrested. I'm just looking at some of your comments while I welcome you guys this morning. Let me look at this one here. Whoever he or she is, it probably could be a she, Tony, Anthony. Why you income in GT, Mark? All right. You don't threaten me to come to GT. I've been there in front all of y'all faces, in front every ministries, in front every official. I've been there, confronted all of you guys in the catfish regime, including drug lords and phantom squad killers. So don't bluff me. Don't feel that because I'm sitting here right now talking that I'm some sort of pussycat. Take that language to someone else, not me. Certainly not me. And I'm quite sure that the installed regime and those would probably not like if I was actually there on the ground. Trust me on that. So don't come with silly stuff, but why you ain't come here and why you in this and why you, man, get the hell out of here, but why you in this? Probably if I was there, it would have been different, you know. But after one time comes another. We have officials in the coalition. We have MPs. I do believe that the MPs should be doing more. They shouldn't be afraid of arrest, right? They shouldn't be afraid of arrest and these sort of things. They just should not be afraid of that. You cannot be in public office. You cannot be representing the people and only representing the people on Facebook or soft talk. The PPP does not believe in soft talk. I oftentimes say to people that I read a book, and I'm still looking for that book, where an individual who was a slave, forced to become a slave, and he said in that book, every time he talks to Massa, nicely, peacefully, Massa doesn't listen to him. Probably amounted to every time he shake Massa's hands, Massa doesn't listen to him. But one day Massa decided to put his rifle down, and that person who was described as a slave decided to pick up Massa's rifle and pointed the rifle at Massa. He didn't do nothing to Massa. He didn't pull the trigger or anything. So there's no violence being preached here at all. But he just pointed the rifle to Massa. And Massa turned to him and said, anything you want, take it. Anything you want, take it. And now that's a language. That's a language. That's a language. You know, you don't beg the PPP for anything. Let's, Mr. Ramjatan is always willing. Let me get a quick comment from Mr. Ramjatan. Hi, Mr. Ramjatan, morning. How are you? Yeah, I want a quick question. Sorry that I call you, keep getting you off guard like this on air, but a quick minute. Mr. Pual Slowe was moments ago arrested as he was appearing in front of, about to appear in front of the magistrate at the Georgetown Magistrates Court. The police claim that they are there to arrest him for the same matter. He is scheduled to appear in front of the magistrate. What is your take from a lawyer standpoint on this development?
That's an abuse of the process. If he was attending court on the date for the matter, and they're arresting him like that, I mean, that's an abuse. And then a very public figure in the sense of a policeman who has been there for his charges, it smacks totally of abuse of the process by police. And that would have been a wrongful arrest, and whatever detention obviously will constitute false imprisonment, unlawful imprisonment.
As a lawyer now, and you're a politician as well, how do you interpret this latest move by the police to do this when Mr. Slowe was in the country days now, to wait until he appeared in front of court to embarrass him and arrest him like this?
Boss, it is to tarnish, to bring down the estimation of these very, very good characters, to drive fear. All the dictatorial attributes are coming to play here, and that is what the PPP wants to use the police force to do. And that's what they're doing right now. That is what they did when they started going at 1 o'clock in the night to very innocent people in Essequibo. and then shooting one of them or in Boston. And that is what they are doing. There's nothing else but to prove that they are powerful enough to do anything to anybody. And they're using a section of the police force to go do that. Because, the policeman that is about to arrest Pual Slowe will ask them, why are you telling me to go and arrest Pual Slowe? What has he done? That we just couldn't invite him to a police station like we have invited other people and so on. So it has an ulterior motive to drive fear that the PPP is fully in charge and that we, the ordinary citizens, at any time, as soon as you open your mouth, you get now, like I noticed with Winston Jordan, we're going to lock him up. We're going to lock him up. That coming from the Attorney General. Well, these people don't know what they're playing with. And when the situation gets really explosive, and they will be at the front end of the people's resentment, then they will realize that it was bad politics and a bad dictatorial authoritarian politics they're playing. I would hope that we do not come to that situation, but they're provoking it.
Finally, Mr. Ramjatan, what is the end game? The PPP is obviously provoking some sort of reaction from the coalition, the opposition. What is the end game of the PPP?
The end game is to distract from their massive corruption and misgovernance. And they want to create distraction in that so that their support base, which is holding them accountable now and telling them that they are doing wrong policies, like say giving severed workers 250 and the hard-working sugar workers and other not getting any, plus the public servants who have been severed. So you create distractions. That is what the Bharat Jagdeo types know very well. That's their politics. And the Guyanese public have a tendency to fall flat for that. So all the madness of their administration that are coming to haunt them now, with so much things happening in Albion, happening in East Coast, and all of that, you create now the arrest of Pual Slowe, and you get all them crazy journalists to run to that. You understand? They run to that. And that is what you have.
All right. Mr. Ramjatan, thank you for your time, man. Appreciate it. Hope to have you back soon. Thank you.
Take care, man.
Good. All right. Former Minister of Home Affairs there, Kamraj Ramjatan, telling it like it is, basically kind of like the same assessment made earlier as to the reason why the police went there to arrest Mr. Pual Slowe. They arrested Mr. Pual Slowe even though he was there to attend court for the very matter that they claim that they're arresting for. They charged him. Now he's scheduled to appear in front of court 11 o'clock this morning. As he was about to do that, they grabbed him and telling him that he's under arrest for the same charge. Now read between the lines what's happening. You heard from Kamraj Ramjatan there just now, who is a former Minister of Home Affairs. It is to distract the attention from all the wickedness, all the corruption happening in Guyana right now. That is precisely what that arrest is about. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. So it's very dark days. I'm seeing some of your comments there, talking and reminding folks about the dark days ahead for Guyana. The dark days is already there. We're seeing those dark days, my friends. The dark days is there. The PPP doesn't mean any good at all for that country. They jump around, they rushed around to the US, they hop into Brooklyn, they go in churches to pretend as though, they care about Guyana, and then they talk. You heard Gail Teixeira, and she has been out of Canada for over 150 something years, and you listen to him. I'm like, give me a break. you know, and then you get the Mark Phillips talking about one Guyana and we believe in a one Guyana and one Guyana. Is this the one Guyana they believe in? Is this how they want one Guyana? And all of these wicked things that they're doing and expect Guyana to be one Guyana? I don't know, man. Come on. Come on. I hope you guys are heading down to in front of the Georgetown Magistrates Court, you know, peacefully, because I don't want any of the trench crappos or lagu bagus to say that Ben Chap telling people to go and surround Magistrates Court. No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to go and show your support and be in solidarity with Mr. Pual Slowe, because what they have just done there to him is wrong. Downright wrong. You do not do that. And Kemraj also agreed that it's basically an attempt to embarrass Mr. Pual Slowe and divert attention from all of the corruption, all of the happenings with these so-called grants, flood relief grants, what else? COVID grants, all these grants. Next, you're probably going to want to mention Eddie Grant and Rudy Grant, since they're on the subject of grants. You know, it's a wicked and corrupt bunch of people that we have in office there right now, who have actually forced themselves into office. It's a sad day for Guyana that a senior police officer like Pual Slowe. Let's go to Adam Harris, who is on the line. Adam, good morning. Adam Harris, you're on the air. I guess by now you heard of the arrest of Mr. Pual Slowe whilst he was preparing to attend court. What is your take as a journalist on this latest development?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, he turned up on his own accord, and there was an attempt to put him in handcuffs, and he resisted quite rightly because he wasn't arrested. I asked my reporter on the ground whether there was an arrest warrant out for him, and the answer was no. There was the charge, but it could not have been read to him while he was out of the country, so he came home. Anyhow, he went to court. I suspect he's out on bail because the reporter told me that he was coming out of the court. I'll have to call now to get details. But I think that the police obviously want to please a political master. A man turns up on his own and you're going to put him in handcuffs? If there was an arrest warrant out for him, I could understand. But no such thing by just going to the court. So if I go to the court on a traffic offense, you're going to put me in handcuffs too? Oh, come on.
You know, Adam, I know I got you here without first calling you ahead of time, but on the spot. But obviously, this is an attempt to embarrass Mr. Pual Slowe, isn't it?
Yes, I know it is. I mean, before this occasion, he was supposed to have been coming home a couple of months ago, and there were police runs at the police station at the airport waiting to arrest him. I mean, I understand that he was in the country last night. They wanted to go to his house to arrest him. Arrest him for what?
That's the question. Look, Adam, so you're a reporter on the ground for, and just to have you know that Mr. Adam Harris has an online paper called the Guyana Post. It is, Adam, correct?
Yes, Guyana Post online.
Oh, yeah. But your reporter, the last, when did you hear from your reporter? 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago?
About 10 minutes ago.
And
I'm going to call him again.
And your reporter, yeah. Thank you so much, Adam. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Good. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, Adam Harris there for you guys. We are going to keep monitoring this matter. I am going to stay on air with you guys. We're definitely going to have to get to the bottom of this because the PPP continues to tarnish the reputation of Guyana. And they're going after these people like Pual Slowe. Take a look at Pual Slowe. Oh, yes, they're going after, read my lips. You probably can't see it, but read between the lines. They're going after people like Pual Slowe to arrest them, to embarrass them, to make it look as though they have done something wrong. The same thing that they're doing or attempting to do with people like Winston Jordan, the former finance minister, and others. So they come out publicly, they tarnish the names of these individuals by saying, as in the case with Mr. Winston Jordan, that nefarious activities, in other words, criminal acts, bad things. And so the man who sits there as the Attorney General comes out and makes these statements, issue press releases to that effect, to tarnish the names of these individuals. Meanwhile, we are here doing what we're doing, saying what we're saying, but at the end of the day, what exactly are those folks who should be standing up for our rights, your rights, who should be doing that, who should be putting boots on the ground, not boots on Facebook, boots on the ground, to carry out that political fight on the ground? That is the question. That is the question. And we will continue to ask the question, not to go against and make it appear that there's any fight against anybody. No, there is no fight, there's no struggle, there's nothing. All people are saying they need to get boots on the ground, not boots on Facebook. Fight, political fight on the ground. So when you say let's fight, ting-a-ling, on the ground. Right now, they should have been on the ground. How many of them are going to be there? Mind you, this is no laughing of individual or trying to put any individual down or whatever. But I'm just saying, from a political standpoint, the fight has to be off of Facebook and on the ground, right? I know there are other folks who do their Facebook commentary and so forth, and I would say I take my hats off to them. This is nothing personal, because you know how Guyanese, they like to get ticklish and all these sort of things, and the bumps raised and so forth. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is take the fight on the ground, the political fight. That is when the PPP will buckle. I want to see people. How many of these members of parliament have already turned up at the police station there at the side of Mr. Pual Slowe to say enough is enough? How many of them? I want to see how many of them. I want to see how many of them. And if they are those folks out there, well, kudos to them. But I can put my head on the block if I see two. That's a heck of a lot. I'll be lucky if I see one. I don't know. But what else we can, who else we can get in touch with to probably get a better understanding as to what's happening with Mr. Pual Slowe as of now? You guys know that we don't on 107.1 FM and straight up, we don't back down, right? We don't back down because we want to get to the matter of this thing here. It is wrong. It is downright wrong to do this to a man like Pual Slowe, to do this to anyone, any injustice, even if it is lemon with a unjustified traffic offense or operator. It is still wrong, downright wrong. That must be addressed. It must be addressed one way or the other. Speaking of lemon, our operator just messaged me. He doesn't know we're on the air. He needs to be fired. He doesn't know that we are on the air. He needs to be fired, right? But we want to get to the bottom of this. Like I've said, it is downright wrong what is happening. Mr. Pual Slowe, arrested earlier, maybe about half hour ago. Yep, arrested earlier. We have some folks. In the courtroom. Sorry about that. Got lots of messages coming in. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that, because I want us to be able to get the proper information and directly at the magistrate's court there. We want to get to that, and we will get to that. We have, I believe, one of our contacts. Yep, on the ground at the court. What is happening? You're live on the air. What is going on at the court, Mr. Duncan? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. You're live. What's happening? Where is Mr. Pual Slowe as of now?
Right now we are just court here. We him to give his words to the listeners.
Your phone is breaking up. I don't know if it's
standing with MP.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dom.
Sorry, I'm out here standing with MP Coretta McDonald and some other supporters.
All right. Can I have a quick word with Miss McDonald's?
Sure.
Thank you. Hi, Madam MP. We're live on the air. What's happening? What's your take on this sort of injustice, this sort of disrespect to citizens, and especially someone like Mr. Pual Slowe? What is your take on this?
The PPP doesn't like anybody who can stand up to them. Suppose you can stand up to them, then they find ways and means of trying to embarrass you. That's the whole. They don't mind if they take you to court and at the first that is dismissed. They don't mind. All they want to do is to embarrass you. And if you look at what is happening, it's a certain grouping of people that they are seeking before the courts to put you on bail and to embarrass the family and that kind of thing. But I want to say we have got to start educating our people, the young, between and the not so young. We've got to start educating our people. That unity. And once we go there, then there's nothing.
Yep. Sorry about that, Miss McDonald. We are breaking up. I don't know if probably the internet connection your end, but we're glad that you're there. We got the message. We know exactly what you're saying. If we get a better connection, we'll connect back with you guys in a few minutes. But as of now, Mr. Pual Slowe is still in the courtroom, right? All right. Sorry about that. We'll have to disconnect this call. The internet connection is very bad. My apologies, guys. My apologies. Miss Coretta McDonald, sorry. She is out there. That is one MP that is out there that we know of thus far. I wish I can get a photograph of the crowd that is out there right now. Folks, you still have time to go out there, and you still have time to go out there and lend your support to lend your support to Mr. Pual Slowe and Mr. Conway. Sorry about that. To lend your support. This is wrong. Look at how the police officer is treating him, or someone who has not properly identified himself as a policeman. This is how they have treated Mr. Pual Slowe earlier this morning. Well, just about 45 minutes ago. This is what is happening in Guyana. We are going to wait, Mr. Pual Slowe. We're going to wait until he's out of the the courtroom. Two things that are of concern. Two things. Is he going to be placed on substantial bail? Definitely the police, the prosecutor is going to ask for substantial bail. They may even want to say that he should be jailed pending the appeal, because as a prosecutor, the prosecutor who wants to curry favors with those hooligans in the PPP would probably say substantial bail. Substantial bail. Now it's $10 million, the allegations, $10 million. No evidence, no corruption, but they just want to drag Mr. Pual Slowe in front of the court, arrest him, embarrass him, and all these things. Now the magistrate may be compelled to put them on bail. So watch out for this ballpoint figure of $150,000 bail or $200,000 bail. I will be surprised, mind you, I will be surprised if Mr. Pual Slowe and Mr. Conway are placed on their own recognizance. They are going to want to put them on bail. Here's why. When you're put on bail, most times in court, they put you down that chute. Most times in handcuffs. So that is the image they now want to have you guys have of Mr. Pual Slowe and Mr. Conway by putting them on bail so that they could go down that chute. Once they are in that chute, then they will have to make a right at the Georgetown Magistrates Court to go into that holding pen area. That is the objective of the PPP, to embarrass these gentlemen, these senior police officers. So watch out for that $200,000 bail for both of those guys. Watch out for that bail. Like I've said, there's no evidence. It's a trumped up charge. They are persecuting Pual Slowe and Mr. Conway. They're persecuting, they're attempting to embarrass those gentlemen who have given together close to 100 or close to 80 years collectively, 80 years of service to the Guyana Police Force, 80 years of service, something Irfan Ali and Jack Deo and Anil Nandalal and these guys would never, absolutely never do. No service to country. But when Irfan Ali appeared in front of the court with 19 fraud charges, 19 fraud charges, 19 fraud charges. I know some of the trench crappers are on and they vex, but who cares, right? Who cares? 19 fraud charges, 19 amounting to hundreds of millions of dollars. Guess what the magistrate did? Sent him home on his own recognizance. Go. You're free to go. 19 fraud charges. You're free to go. When Anil Nandalal appeared in front of court for law books worth millions of dollars, guess what? Oh, you're free to go on your own recognizance. You're free to go. But look at the pattern as to how the court system deal with, the magistrates deal with these people like Pual Slowe and others with trumped up, who appear in front of them with trumped up charges. Trumped up charges. Now, the magistrates are the ones who control the jurisdiction of the court. And once they are in that court compound, and someone like Mr. Pual Slowe, who is appearing in front of the court, on the same charge is being arrested, the magistrates have that power to say, do not arrest that man. If you want to arrest him outside of the jurisdiction of the court. The magistrate has that power. And they can use that power when it's being abused. And this morning, what we saw is the abuse of the police power for political purpose. That's precisely what has happened. That is what they continue to do, to demonstrate every day that the police force is under the spell of the corrupt, racist, installed PPP regime. That's what is happening. Now, we're still awaiting word on what is happening with Mr. Pual Slowe. I see we got some messages coming in from Guyana that he's still in the court. I believe what they're probably at a point now of arguing whether he should be placed on bail or whether he shouldn't be placed on bail. But it's $10 million. The allegation is $10 million. If I were the magistrate, I will send these two gentlemen home without them placing any bail on their own recognizance. I would do that. But how many magistrates would want to do that? Some of them are operating under duress. Some of them feel that they have to do what the political masters want them to do, which is to embarrass these people like Pual Slowe. So let us await and see whether they are going to be putting them on bail. And I've called a figure already between $150,000 to $200,000 bail, just to make it look good. They're even going to ask that his passport be seized and all these different things, because they're going to argue that he was out of the jurisdiction for a while and that they were looking for him and they couldn't find him, and all these different things they are going to argue. All these things they are going to argue in order to make it look nice-ish, right? And to spread that propaganda to you. But you all know, all of you know what the truth is. And so we are not going to allow them to basically spread that propaganda to you guys at all. Just give me a quick minute. Let's see what is happening. Sorry about that. Let's see what is happening around the court, because we want to give you the correct piece of news. Nothing as yet, other than we're still awaiting. Yep, sorry about that. As you await the outcome to see what they have done to Mr. Pual Slowe as it pertains to bail. Mind you, it's not just Mr. Pual Slowe, it's Mr. Conway as well. Two respectable former senior police officers. Respectable former senior officers. Respectable. Yeah, sorry about that. We are still, we are waiting word. Don't go anywhere. Just don't go anywhere, please. We are trying our best to give you the news live and direct. Let's go over to Royston Drake's, see what's happening on his network. Yep, that's Royston Drake. Let's see what's happening. Nothing really. It's just a photograph there of the Georgetown Magistrates Court. That is what's happening. The media folks are out there waiting the matter to come to an end and to hear exactly what's the outcome, whether Mr. Pual Slowe was placed on bail or he was sent, and Mr. Conway, they were sent on their own recognizance, meaning they don't have to pay any bail. And more likely, yeah, sorry about that, straight to our guy on the ground. What's happening there at the court? Yeah, sorry about that. We missed that phone call. Yep, sorry. So we're getting some bad connection. We're trying to get in touch some folks on the ground, and the connection is really not the best of Guyana, right? Yeah, Please do forgive me for that. We are trying our best, right? If you're now joining us, this is about Pual Slowe, who's just arrested. Mr. Duncan,
I was never questioned. Nothing was ever put to me. I was never arrested. So they had no grounds. The last time they asked the court to issue a warrant for my arrest, and the court declined because there was no thing. Now, last Friday, they sent a summons to Mr. Nigel Hughes. Right? The summons out here said that you should report to court this morning to answer to that charge. So I had arrangement to play together. I came in on Wednesday to come to court. So this morning, I came to court to answer to this charge for the first time, and for the charge to be read to me for the first time. And I'm confronted with the police officers, Romana and these people, who are trying to arrest me for a matter that is already before the court. I don't know how that works. So I told them plainly that is not the consequence. They cannot be trying to arrest me for charges that are already before the court. I am here to answer to the summons, and I prepared. I went upstairs, and the charges were they don't come out of the same incident or the same circumstances. I put in the name of Nicola Kendall, made an allegation which will be dealt with to answer to that charge. So I had arrangement to fly today. I came in on Wednesday to come to court. So this morning, I came to court to answer to this charge for the first time, or for the charge to be ruled first time. And I'm confronted with police officers, Romana and these people, who are trying to arrest me for a matter that is already before the court. I don't know how that works. So I told them plainly that is not the procedure. Same amount that the others were put on. So we are now to return on the 26th of November for the continuation of all the matters. So in summary, that is what transpired this morning.
So you answered really to how many charges?
Well, they're not answering really, because the charges are indictable, right. So they were real. So 4 charges. 1, the conspiracy to commit fraud, and 3, the what they call the sexual assault charges.
Okay. Mr. Peters, which that the officer were attempting to do.
What the officers attempted to do this morning constitutes an assault, and that's why I asked the officer hands off of Pual Slowe. The way I see an abusive process, and as so far as Assistant Superintendent Roman is concerned, his actions constitute an assault. Mr. Slowe already explained why it is that he should have had an interaction with the police this morning, and we're going to deal with it accordingly.
And you would note that following the intervention of the lawyer, Mr. Peters, and Mr. Henry, I went up to the court, and somehow they disappeared. And back down after dealing with the matter, they disappeared, which tells you they had no authority, not at all, to say they arrested me for matters that are already before the court. The man telling me inside the system that he arrested me to caution me of the charge. When the matter the court, I am answerable to the court, not to the police. If they want, they can arrest me in respect of new charges, which they have not tried to do. They're trying to arrest me for charges that are already filed before the court. Nonsense. I guess that will be their instructions from the political bosses. I will deal with that.
Are there any other legal maneuvers that you will undertake? I mean, the matter is now in the magistrate's court, but in the High Court, is there any other legal procedure that you will undertake in this matter?
Well, we have to come back on November 26th to deal with some issues in this. I can't tell you what we will and will not do because, of course, this is Mrs. Slowe's first appearance, and we haven't had a chance to discuss this case in any detail and obtain instructions from him. So we're I can't just tell you what we'll do until we obtain instructions. And we haven't obtained any instructions from him. But what I can tell you is what you witnessed this morning was out of the ordinary, and it should be condemned.
Arresting civilian without proper identity.
From he never showed me any photo ID. So I insisted that if you're going to read the caution that they wanted to read, and if you're going to want to tell me that you're a police officer in civilian clothes, I don't know him, right? And this is not being facetious. I don't know him. So he has a responsibility to provide. And you see how quickly he sent for his identification card, which again, this is contrary to standard procedure. He is a police officer in civilian clothes, should have his police identification with him at all times. He can't come, he approach me, he's arresting me, he is the Romano. Has no identification. And then when I challenged that, he sent someone to his car to bring an they're not dealing with fools.
And let me make this clear. Pual Slowe has been in law enforcement for over 46 years. He's been in law enforcement, 48 years, since 1973. He's been in law enforcement. To say that Pual Slowe isn't disappointed with the conduct of the police here,
not surprised though, not surprised,
is an understatement, because he dedicated his life to service of this nation to the police force.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I'm not finished up, just to tell you. I am going to the police, well, I don't still call it brigade, but I'm going there now to file a criminal complaint. I have documents once to file a complaint. If you're there, I'm going to give you so you will see what it is.
On the assault.
Against a politician.
Okay.
All right. You heard there. Let me just, since our operator Lemon is not really on the job right now. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. I just had to get stuff going myself because Lemon is not on the job. What's new? Yeah, so to Pual Slowe, you heard what Mr. Slowe said. You heard what his lawyer said. This is politics. This is just what it is, politics. And the objective, you heard what Mr. Kemrat Ramjatan said. You heard what, you heard what Coretta McDonald, MP Coretta McDonald also said. It is just politics. It's just a way to embarrass these people. And it has got to stop one way or the other. It has got to stop. This embarrassment of Mr. Pual Slowe and others, it has got to stop. I made an error when I have said on a couple of occasions that Mr. Slowe actually did close to 40 years of work to Guyana. It's 46 plus years. We have Mr. Slowe on the line here. Quickly, Mr. Slowe. We have been monitoring the situation. I missed it. How much bail are you guys out on?
Well, I am out on a total of $325,000 bail in respect of 4 charges.
All right, but thank you. We'll speak to you afterwards. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. All right. You heard Mr. Pual Slowe there. Total of 320 something thousand. I guess that's what I heard. $325,000 bail. He's out on that. You guys are seeing exactly. You're not only seeing, you're hearing what's happening, right? The disrespect of Guyanese. 48 years of service to the people of Guyana through the Guyana Police Force. And this is how Pual Slowe and Mr. Conway, this is how they are being treated by the political hooligans in the PPP. the political hooligans, I say, in the PPP, who can't match his years of service and his dedication to the people of Guyana. This is how he is being treated. Winslow Padmore, I see your comment. I agree with your comment, sir. I agree with you. I'm looking at some of your comments, right? I agree with you guys. You know, except some of the trench crappos who are going to come with their stupidity. Some of the trench crappos. Ignore the trench crappos because that's what they're about. Trench crappo business. And we are not about to be distracted by those trench crappos. Certainly not. It's a shame and it's a disgrace what is happening right now in Guyana. A shame and a disgrace. Now is not the time for no nice talk and soft talk and addressing them how they want to be addressed, or hugging them and kissing them and be nice to them. Now is not the time for that at all. It is just not the time for that. They are not about that. If they can destroy everyone, every leader, every reputable individual who are seemingly supportive of the coalition, they will do just that. Look at what they're doing to Mr. Pual Slowe, a professional. All because he didn't do their dirty bidding. Their dirty bidding as chairman of the police complaints. Police Service Commission. All because he didn't do their bidding. So they're going to go after him to try to tarnish his reputation. We are not going to have any of that. None of that. The magistrate couldn't send him home on his own recognizance. They weren't going to send him home on his own recognizance. They weren't going to do that because they're not brave enough to do that. They may say that the law doesn't allow them to do that, but the law allows them to do that. We saw what and how they handled Irfan Ali with 19 fraud charges. I repeat, 19 fraud charges, 19. No bail, nothing. And Irfan Ali's 19 fraud charges amount, over hundreds of millions of dollars. But they sent him home on his own recognizance. But they couldn't do this to this guy, Pual Slowe, who was given 48 years of service to that nation as a policeman, as a police officer. 48 years. But no, they're treating him as though he's a criminal. Grab him, arrest him. Look at this. Now let me explain this thing to you guys here, man. That is very demeaning when they grab you by your pants back and they pull up the pants and sometimes they stick the pants all up. You know what I mean? It's very demeaning. You know, it's uncomfortable. It's embarrassing. And that is what they want to do. And why you think that guy grabbed Mr. Pual Slowe like that? Maybe there could be other reasons why he's probably doing that, but we don't want to get into those other reasons other than to embarrass the man. Grab him by his pants. Grab him. Grab him. You know, grab him by his pants. But pull up his belt, pull up his pants. There was no need for that. Absolutely no need for that. But yet they did it. We all know why they did it. Look at that. 48 years of service to that country. 48 years. But look, I don't know, man. I don't know. For me, the leadership, the entire leadership of the coalition should have been out there. I'm not saying everybody got to be out there, but most of them should have been out there. Should have been out there. Because this is not going to stop unless they put a stopping to it. They need to put a stopping to these sort of things. They just need to. And the people probably are seeing that the coalition probably a bit divided, maybe not a bit, And so they are making full usage of this pass to the people of Guyana, but more so coalition supporters. It is what is happening right now in that country, and it should be stopped. Like I have said, it should be stopped one way or the other. I'm looking at some of your comments, and maybe we'll spend a few more minutes because I want to hear exactly. Mr. Pual Slowe is about to file criminal charges against some politicians. And I think I suspect who those politicians are. I wouldn't be surprised if Anil is one of them, and rightly so. I wouldn't be surprised if Anil is one of them. Oh, so please bear with me. We're just trying to bring you the news as we get them. Mr. Pual Slowe was under arrest earlier. Look how he was treated. Just take a look as to how he was treated. And recently, Mark Phillips and others were parading around in church and mandirs and so forth, talking crap in the US, talking crap about one Guyana and one Guyana and one Guyana and these sort of things. Out fooling people in the US. I don't know why some people even waste their time attending those meetings with those guys who part of the catfish regime, part of the install regime, going in churches. Now is not the time for that. Now is not the time for asking them no question. They don't. All they want, they're going to seize the moment for propaganda purpose. That's what they're going to do, and use it as propaganda. And I don't care what anybody say. That's what they're going to do. Use it as propaganda. You guys know a perfect example. A perfect example about that. Perfect example about that. You guys know that. All right? So let's see here. We are awaiting. We try to get in touch with a couple more guys on the ground to find out what is happening there. Some of them are answering. Some of them are not answering. And it's okay. I'm not one who believes that as soon as I call one of those politicians in Guyana that they have to answer my calls. No. Sometimes some of those guys are busy. And I can understand that, and I can respect that. Sometimes some of them are out doing or in the office doing research. I could also understand that. Right? I see Yep, sorry about that. We are still trying to get in touch with some of the folks on the ground to find out what's happening there with the private charges complaint against some of those politicians in the PPP, or so-called politicians. Most of them are basically gangsters. That's what they are, gangsters. They're not leaders. They're just gangsters, right? I see they got little war going on in the comment section. Some of y'all attacking this guy, Monkey. I don't know. Monkey has been regular now over the past week or so. Monkey. I see Wesley Ward. You drop a lash on Monkey there, saying it's the first thing Monkey said that makes sense. Oh, man. Oh, y'all and Monkey at war today. Monkey always comes on this whenever I'm live, and he always gets into trouble. Whoever Monkey is. Baby Khan, how are you doing? Baby Khan, did you see that comment that Gail Cheshire made that the Muslim world, folks in the Muslim world, are coming close to Guyana to invest and respecting Guyana more because Guyana has a Muslim president? Does she know how dangerous that statement is? Does she really know how dangerous it is? I don't know, but it is dangerous. It is very dangerous, but not surprising coming from sorry, not surprising coming from a Gail Teixeira. A waste of time. Smokey Joe, waste of time. Smokey Gail, waste of time. But they're there masquerading as political leaders. So they go off in other parts of the world, in North America, and they talk about one Guyana, and they believe in the rule of law. And every day people are being mugged, people are being robbed, people are being beaten, people are being persecuted, people are being wrongfully jailed, wrongfully arrested, people are being executed. The SWAT, members of a police SWAT team, maybe comprising of security guards from other questionable security agencies, private security firms, probably drug lords, probably phantom squad members, probably money launderers and fuel smugglers, and all these different things were part of that SWAT team. That is why for weeks now, and we cannot hear where or what direction this particular case is right now with Mr. Orrin Boston, who was murdered by members of the SWAT team. Members of the SWAT team. All of them should have been placed under arrest. All of them should have been charged with murder because all of them were there at the time. Because look, say for example, 4 persons go out on a robbery and one person has a gun, shoots and kill the victim, the person that they're robbing, shoots and kill that person. Do you think they are going to identify only the shooter and charge the shooter with murder? No, they are going to charge everyone with murder. So now why would you want to charge just the person who allegedly pulled the trigger, that policeman who allegedly pulled the trigger in this Orrin Boston's case? You have to charge all of those members of the SWAT team with that crime. All of them. Charge them, every single one of them. So don't tell me no BS that you put that little constable who probably they're throwing the blame on that little constable that he was placed under house arrest. Sorry, not house arrest, close arrest. Close arrest simply means that when the police detain another police and say you can't go. But the policeman who killed Orrin Boston is running around freely, eating dal and rice, eating cook-up, eating plantain chips, eating fudge, eating mitai, eating bara, eating pulori every single day. But the relatives of this guy, Orrin Boston, his wife, his mother, his sister, his siblings, all of them, and his other relatives and friends, they are awaiting justice. Justice for this guy who the police murdered. It is not the first. They have a history of doing these things. A history of doing it. Well, look at who Jack Dale hung around with. Just take a look at who he hung around with during the Phantom Squad days and these sort of things. Just look at the picture. Some of you might be familiar with some of them, you know. And the one that is standing next to that, between that fat guy and the guy who's looking like Sharma. By the way, that is not CN Sharma, but he's a weird-looking guy. How he belly pop out and he pans and weird. But then again, Jack Dale probably loves hugging weird-looking folks. So the guy there, that big strapping red guy, lack of a better description, is this guy, Mark Kozerki. He used to operate. He was the manager. He wasn't the owner, but he used to manage a bar called Aubrey's Wine Bar, right? 2 or 3 blocks away from Camp Street Prison. That's him. He, along with Sean Hines, were charged for with the murders of the Bacchus brother, Shafiq and George Bacchus. After they were arrested, this guy here with that AK-47 in his hand, Jack Dale partner, as you can see them there in this picture, right? This guy, after he was charged, along with Sean Hines, you guys know Sean Hines, right? Admitted to a bunch of crimes in Guyana. But then again, it's Guyana. He's free, driving around with his heavily tinted vehicle. Now, this guy, Mark Kazurki, was charged. He was arrested, charged with murder, but he never spent a day in the Camp Street prison because he threw himself on the ground and said that he was sick. They rushed him to Georgetown Public Hospital, where days after, suddenly, Leslie Ramsamy was the Minister of Health at that time. Suddenly, the news came that Mark Kazurki died. Suddenly, he died. Leslie Ramsamy never explained why or what happened, but during Leslie Ramsamy's time as Minister of Health, a lot of persons like this guy, Kazurki, died under questionable circumstances. That's the guy, Leslie Ramsamy, who sits there today receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars, taxpayers' money, right? Next to Frank Anthony as an advisor to the Minister of Health, as an advisor to the Minister of Health. So that's how these guys are doing. Right now, the family of this guy, Peter Headley, awaiting justice. The file has been sent from the OPR, which is the Office of Professional Responsibility, in police compound headquarters. It was sent to the Police Complaints Authority on Brigdam after spending months at the office of the OPR, months at that office, weeks at PCA. Now we're hearing that the file has been sent, probably over a week now, to the DPP chambers. Now the DPP is going to review that file. Of course, they don't want to charge the police. I don't know what the recommendation of the PCA, the Police Complaints Authority, is. I don't know what that recommendation is. I can only assume that it's got to be murder charge. I can only assume that. Now, the file was sent to the DPP. The DPP is going to review that file. It's over a week now. They haven't reviewed it concerning this guy, Peter Headley, who was shot and killed by a member of the Guyana Police Force. They shot and killed him over some allegation that he had a stolen television set. Stolen television set. Now, this is what we keep hearing now. But months now, no charges against the policeman. None whatsoever. The policeman should have already been charged with murder. Now, the file is at the DPP chambers. Here's what's going to happen. You know, I like to put this thing here and give you guys my opinion as to here's what's going to happen. Because, you know, based on my experience, and I one time too, based on my years of experience of these people, all of the institutions, so I can tell you guys what will possibly happen. The police, the DPP, will review the file. If they see that they don't want to charge and prolong this matter, they will send the file back to the police for more information. They will send the file back to the police for more information. That is all. More information. Because along the way, in preparing that file for the police, since it's a police that's involved in the shooting to death of Mr. Peter Headley, they're going to want to scratch out and remove pages and make submissions that would contradict each other in order to save that policeman who killed Peter Headley, saved him from being charged, right? That's precisely, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So expect that file. I'll be surprised if they charge the police, mind you. If they recommend charges, sorry. But I wouldn't be surprised if they send the file back to the police for more statements to be made and for corrections to be made and all these sort of things. So, hey, that guy, Peter Headley, same thing. Stolen stolen television set. No television, no victim, no nothing. But they shot and killed that guy. They murdered him. The police, that is. Extrajudicial killing, right? The same thing that Irfan Ali, when he went to the United Nations, pretended and lied as though there is no extrajudicial killings, there's nothing really happening in Guyana. Lie. But coming from Irfan Ali, why should we be surprised? Huh? A state of uncertainty. A state of uncertainty in Guyana. But yet, weeks after he lied to the UN, or not so much long after he lied to the people of the UN, this is what? Here's another lie. Dead Kevin Andrews. They claim that this guy had stolen items. To this day, you heard from his relatives yesterday, his brother yesterday saying, nobody knows what the stolen items are. Nobody knows who the victim or victims are. There has been no producing of the evidence, the so-called stolen items. But here's the headline. And this is how the PPP propaganda media online entity, this is how they operate. Grove resident, 34, killed by police during shootout. There is no evidence that there was any shootout with the police and this guy, none whatsoever. But they're claiming that some other occupant of the car jumped out and ran away. So the other occupant jumped out. I don't know if it's Houdini or whoever, but jumped out and ran away. But here now, according to the postmortem, here is what they're saying. Grove shooting. Man was shot to buttocks. In the event you don't know what buttocks is, you guys by now should know what buttocks is, right? Not to laugh at my friend, Mr. Pual Slowe, but right there you're looking for the officer grabbing onto his belt, buttocks, right? That this guy was shot to his buttocks. In other words, they shot this guy in his butt. Now, you know, unless you may be some strange kind of creature whose butt is actually not where it's supposed to be, but usually it's in your rear end. And when you shoot someone in their buttocks, it simply means that you shoot them. Thank you, Peggy Russell Elias. Let me put up what she's saying. I don't really want to say it, but look, that's where they shot him, right? His buttocks. It simply means, I see Carl Miller, all of you guys know what it is. Yeah, thank you. Because you know we are on radio as well, so we can say some of these things, you know, BT and things like that. But yeah, his buttocks. His buttocks. I see some of you keep saying that Granger, useless. Okay, y'all will have a chance at Congress to put in who y'all like. I think we've gone past that stage of, and that's how the PPP gets us when we cry all the time, right? Miss Campaign Collison, you got it also. You got it. Oops, there we go, right? So how can they justify this shooting, the death of this individual, right? If you shoot somebody in the buttocks, in their butt, it simply means that they're turned behind and you shot them from behind. That is a crime. It is a crime. There is no proof that this guy had any weapon. There is no proof that this guy shot at them. And if he died as a result of a shootout, then what happened to the police vehicle that he was supposedly shooting at, or the police? They may get a graze, the vehicle, and get touched. I don't know. Some kind of a shootout, right? Some kind of a shootout. Some kind of a shootout. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. All right. I just got word from our operator. Seem to be on and off on the job, that that he's trying to get in touch with our reporter on the ground, so to see whether we can get some live feed or we can just call it a day until we get some more information on what is happening in Guyana. Okay, so for now, I'll just look at some more of your comments and see what you guys are thinking before we pull the curtain down for now. It's good to see some of the Trench Crappos comments too, right? It's ridiculous as most of them are, but it just shows the mindset of folks. I've noticed Asante Ujai. One of the things that we don't want to is to paint every individual who look like this Kunumunu who has disrespected and insulted Mr. Pual Slowe. We don't want to paint everyone who looks like him with the same brush at all, because there are thousands of our Indian brothers and sisters who are against what is happening in Guyana. The coalition has thousands of persons who look like him supporting them. They have members of parliament who look like him that are supporting the coalition. And so we don't want to paint every single person with the same brush at all. Okay, we don't. We have Dinesh Jaiprashad, a pundit. He comes here. He's a member of parliament. He's a PNC. He has been a PNC member all his life. You have Ganesh Mahipal, PNC member. You have Geeta Chandan. You have scores of others. So let us be careful, because if y'all, the coalition, y'all want to get back into power, you got to get back, and I do support that, mind you. Y'all have to, unless something crazy happens, right? And people just get fed up of the coalition, unless something crazy happens, But at the end of the day, you need the vote and the support of everybody. Everybody. Right now, everybody upset and pissed off at the PPP, even their supporters. Go up on the quarantine and find out what's going on there. Go in Blackbush folder. That's why I want these members of parliament for the coalition to put on boots and go on the ground. This boots and this fight is not a Facebook fight. It's not a facade. It's a real political fight on the ground. Go around the MPs in Region 10. Go around the Ituni, go in Kokwani. I don't know when last I saw pictures of our members of parliament in those areas to say that they're talking with the people. Talking on the phone or talking on Facebook to the people is not sufficient. Be there on the ground. The MP for Region 3, Ganesh Mahipal. Good afternoon to you, Ganesh. Be on the ground, people. Be on the ground. Region 5. Region 4, be on the ground with the people. Look, it says boots on the ground, real boots on the ground. Boots on Facebook doesn't cut out. Boots on Facebook is for fancy gallop, and fancy gallop don't win race. I repeat, fancy gallop do not win race. The coalition MP should have been here with the cane cutters. I call them cane engineers. Be there with the cane engineers. Stand alongside them. Protest with them. Don't wait for them to call. Don't wait for them to say anything. Go to them. Go out to them. Go to the people in Port Village. You see, they're having a peaceful get-together there, as one of the protesters said. That it is not really a protest. It is a peaceful get-together. I like these sort of peaceful get-together. Whether you want to call it protest or peaceful get-together, it looks like a nice peaceful get-together, though, You take a nice big tractor tire, you put it on the road, you get your placard, and you call it a peaceful get-together. Oh, yeah. A peaceful get together. This is what I'm going to say to the coalition. This is what Hilbert Archer. I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean. This is what Hilbert Archer is saying. Mark, you're throwing water on ducks' back. I got you, Hilbert. I got you, man. I got you. But at some point in time, they are going to wake up. At some point in time, them go wake up. I'm hoping that it's not late before them wake up. Because if they don't wake up now, I'll say this to y'all, cat eat them dinner. Cat eat them dinner if they don't wake up now, right? And some of them could be vexed how much they want to get vexed with me. I don't care. What I care about is the people that they're supposed to be representing, all of the people of Guyana, right? All of their supporters need proper representation. Now, this is not to say that they are not some of the members of parliament who aren't working. There are some who are working. I salute and I'm in full support of those individuals, but more needs to be done. I don't want anybody to come and tell me that all of the MPs are working and that all could be out doing. Oh well. People didn't vote for the coalition for MPs to go and become researchers, researching stuff. People didn't vote for researchers. People vote for MPs to go out there, hit the streets, and represent the interest of their support base. That is what. People didn't vote for them to go in and do research, But that is what they're doing, right? Whenever they're confronted with these issues, they say, oh, they're doing research. Some are doing research. Y'all vote for MPs to become researchers? And how much research they need to do? And look, give me a break. The best, as we say, the best get the act together. Quickly, before cat eat the dinner, right? Quickly, before cat eat their dinner. Mr. Pual Slowe is according, and this is how our guy Milk operates. This is where Mr. Pual Slowe at St. Stanislaus College, that's where the police station is. He is currently there making a complaint, a criminal complaint against, I believe, several politicians. Criminal complaint against several politicians. I am eager to hear what the complaint, by the way, that's Mr. Conway in the blue shirt there at the back, Mr. Conway, right? I'm eagerly awaiting the complaint, That is why I really don't want to go anywhere at this time. So if you just give me a quick minute, we'll take a quick music break, and we'll be right back because I want to give you guys some more information before we go.
That little ditty we used to torment our teachers with when we were kids goes something like this. Onward, upward, Mary had a go. Day by day she tied it to a rope, till at length they got bust the rope, and Miss Mary had to run behind it. We had a lot of fun with that, but do you actually know how beautiful these words are? Here's the Song of Guyana's Children by W. Hawley Bryant. Born in the land of the mighty Roraima, land of great rivers and far-stretching sea, so like the mountains, the sea, and the river, great, wide, and deep in our lives would we be. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can be. In the land of Kaijur, shining splendor, land of the palm tree, the croton and fern, we would possess all the virtues and graces, we all the glory of goodness would learn. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day, in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can be. Born in the land where men sought El Dorado, land of the diamond and bright shining gold, we would build up by our faith, love, and labor God's golden city, which never grows old. Onward, upward, may we ever grow, day by day, in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can be. Happy and
All right, welcome back. I notice some of the iPass, some of you regular listeners, one comment said that, where's the comment? Look at this, bathroom break. No, I was sitting right here, look, right here. And nothing is wrong with a bathroom break, right? But I just want to let you guys know that I do not have a weak bladder. You can maintain that for about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours that I don't have to rush to the bathroom. My name is not Barajak Deo or Irfan Ali. So whilst I appreciate the concern, Peggy, and thinking that I went for a bathroom break, I wasn't. I'm still right here, right? So I'm very strong. And to make up new words like Irfan Ali, I'm very strong, bladderly strong, right? Bladderly strong. Hey. Even though in the midst of all these serious things, sometimes we just have to put a little smile on our faces, right? Lots of things happening in Guyana, lots and lots of bad things, and if we don't confront this situation right now from a legal standpoint, peacefully, we are not going to get anywhere as a people. So don't worry with this Jim Cat Ram Goat thing about one Guyana. You heard Mark Phillips telling that, you guys heard me, right? You heard Mark Phillips telling that about one Guyana and one Guyana. Surely we all don't believe that Rickford Burke believed that propaganda, right? We surely hope that he didn't. But that's the sort of propaganda they love to spread, this one Guyana crap. And so they go all over talking about one Guyana and giving the impression as though they believe this one Guyana stuff. Right now, Tanti Moral, right? Tanti Moral is in Ghana. Yep, in Ghana, probably lying to the officials there in Ghana, the president and other officials. He probably took two Ghanaian-looking Guyanese officials with him, installed officials with him, to prove that they believe in one Guyana. And that they're not a racist government, and they believe in all of the people. Lies, and more lies. You guys should go on the website, the Ghanaian newspaper website, and flood them with information. Go to the president's office on website and flood his secretary and his officials them with emails and photographs and all these things and newspaper clippings as to what he does to the people of Guyana. In fact, there are some things that we do a lot behind the scene, but we don't rush out and show people that this is what we do and we write here and we write there. We just don't operate like that, right? We just don't operate like that. There might be others who operate like that with their stuff, and they're entitled to do that. But behind the scene, we do write a lot of letters to different agencies, to different individuals, and just like we would have done to the people, the ambassador, the Ghanaian ambassador to the US, and even other officials. So they're aware of the concerns of persons who are of African descent, that they are being discriminated in Guyana, discriminated. So Bundari is currently there. Bundari is currently there. And I just wish that, I know some folks in Ghana, some Guyanese, but they're just not going to pick up a placard and protest Bundari. Just protest Bundari while he's there in Ghana. Just as those brave folks went out at the United Nations to protest. At the United Nations. That's where a lot of folks should have been, because international media and lots of leaders were there, right there, not just in front of a church. I'll see you guys this evening. If I get in touch with Mr. Pual Slowe for any other comment, I will certainly come back live. But if you don't see me back live, then I will be back at 9 o'clock tonight, right here on 107.1 FM. For now, thank you for tuning in. God bless you, and enjoy the rest of your day. So long.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockacrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockacrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockacrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. The naga jackass yard for fetchy load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokunani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Banga Mary. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa. All a sit down just a wait. Moonlight light so bright, it's just the right time to listen story and to say a little nursery rhyme. Grandpa voice a echo in the night as he tell the tale. Some pick me a there with fright. Oh, like